Hello and welcome to I Tell You What Ride channel, where I tell you what when it comes to riding a motorcycle. This video was started because my friend Kat just got her first motorcycle and wants to learn the basics of riding. So, let's tell you what. Much like a doctor in every medicine commercial ever, I need to wear the right gear so you know you can trust what I'm saying. Now we're ready, but now we need a motorbike. So Kat, I know you're riding a 2002 Honda Rebel. The horsepower on that motorcycle is about 20. Now when we're talking about the motorcycle I have right here, this is a 140 horsepower machine. I know the bikes are different in their power and a little bit in their ride geometry, but the skills we're going to be going over today apply to all riding, especially for beginners. Today we're covering your throttle, your front brake, and some parts of your suspension. I want to keep these videos brief so I can just tell you what and you get to go out racing or ride. When you accelerate, your throttle roll-on should be smooth. Your throttle roll-off should be smooth. Do not chop the throttle. What in the hell does all that mean? I'm going to tell you what it means. The action of turning the throttle towards you is known as your throttle roll-on. This action should be smooth. When you are beginning to ride, it is best to keep your wrist flat so that you are not popping wheelies at every green light. This is a smooth motion. We're not ripping and gripping just yet, compadre. Your throttle roll off is when the throttle is moving away from your body. This should also be a smooth motion. This is a throttle roll on, and this should be your throttle roll off. A smooth motion. Do not chop the throttle. What does that mean? Chopping the throttle, or releasing the gas, is releasing it in a not smooth motion. Go ahead and pause here and practice those motions with your wrist. Smooth throttle roll on, smooth throttle roll off. Do not chop the throttle. No. Make sure your wrist is flat. We're not starting up here and twisting back. We're starting here. Smooth on, smooth off. Feels good, right? The fun regulator is a lot more fun when it's in control, tell you what. So why do we not chop the throttle? If you remember, chopping the throttle is not a smooth roll-off. That's when you grip and let go very quickly. By doing that, we upset the front suspension and also the ride of our bike. It's not smooth. When I say it's not a smooth ride, I mean that upsets our front suspension. When you release the throttle, a large weight transfer of the bike and also the rider goes to the front tire and also the front suspension. It upsets it. We're gonna look at that now. These front forks are your suspension. When I say it upsets the front suspension, this means that a large weight transfer from the back to the front happens when we turn off the throttle or apply the brakes. These forks will compress. The sloppier we do this, or the less smooth we are on the throttle roll-off, it upsets the suspension and compresses a lot faster. It's not smooth. When we do the throttle roll-off smoothly, we don't upset this so much and it's not such a quick transfer of weight to the front and the back. Just to reiterate, the smoother we are on the throttle roll off, the smoother our ride will be. The shocks and the forks will compress no matter what, but the slower and smoother we are with that throttle roll off, the smoother our ride will be. Now let's talk about your front brake. As I mentioned, when the front brakes are applied, a large weight transfer moves to the front. Nearly 70% of your stopping force can come from the front brake. Not all of that stopping force is initially applied. It depends on your squeezing pressure and the rate at which you squeeze the front brake. So how do you think we should be with our front brake? Should we grab and immediately apply all that pressure? No. The same with the throttle roll-off being smooth. The way we apply our brake pressure should also be smooth. You can even use 2 fingers to reduce yourself from doing something called panic braking. It should be a smooth motion, applying pressure more and more until we come to our desired speed or a stop. Smooth motion. Now when you release the brakes and you're starting to release pressure, the brake is compressed, we're going to release it smoothly as well. So we're not upsetting the suspension again and causing the ride to go bumpy or sloppy. Release it smoothly. Practice that motion now. Now what about the rear brake? There have been lots of debates about whether you should use the front or the rear brake. Your rear brake should really only be used at low speeds, such as in parking lots, parking garages, just some really low speed stuff. Your rear brake accounts for about 30% of your braking force. Riders have a tendency to lock it up very easily. It is easy to stomp on it in an emergency, and it's even easier to apply too much pressure because it's beneath us and it's under a boot or under a shoe. Please practice using your front brake as much as possible, especially when you're exceeding speeds of 10 to 15 miles per hour, or anytime you're not in a parking lot. The front brake is not something to be afraid of. For now, let's practice getting all of our braking done while we're still riding straight up. Not while you're leaned over in a turn, but while you're riding straight up. That's when you should apply and get all of your braking done. So today, on this episode, we covered a smooth roll on the throttle, starting with a flat wrist. We also covered a smooth roll off the throttle when you're turning the throttle away from the rider. We also covered brake pressure and how you can use 2 fingers and apply it gradually and also release it gradually. We also covered how the suspension can be affected by when we chop the throttle going off too quickly or when we apply the brake pressure too fast. This can cause a sloppy or upsetting and not a smooth ride. So next time on I Tell You What Ride channel, we're going to go over confidence and vision. So thank you for tuning in to I Tell You What Ride channel. My name is Adam Zisa, and thank you for watching.